Hi, my name is Moyes. This is the first time in front of the camera completely because obviously I don't make videos of myself while playing FIFA. It's just easier that way. But in this series, this is a new series, it's not a gaming series. We're going to be looking at the Ottoman Empire history. So I'm going to be looking at different histories of the different empires throughout history. That's why it's called Empire History. But I'm going to be looking at the Ottomans specifically, and specifically from the Ottomans, Osman the First. So the Osman the First, Osman Ghazi. We're going to look into why he's called Osman Ghazi as well in this series, in this episode. And yeah, in order to understand the Ottomans and Osman, we need to understand their roots. So these were nomadic people with nomadic roots from Central Asia, so specifically from Mongolia and East Siberia or South Siberia, which is modern day Russia, um, and of also Mongolia. And these people have migrated or did migrate from that region, from Central Asia, to Anatolia, which is modern day Turkey. And the Ottomans started in northwest of Anatolia, northwest of Turkey, in the town of Sogut. And these people were known as the followers of Osman. That's what Ottoman means, the Ottomans. They're followers of Osman. Yeah, so the Ottomans began in the late 13th century, 1299, from 1299 to 1922. And the Ottomans, before the Ottomans began, Osman and his followers, who were either Muslim or they're Muslim from the start, at the start, but they were also Byzantines, so people from the old Roman Empire, who also joined him, who didn't really like the way the Byzantines were doing things. So there was three main uh, people in the story: Osman and his followers before the Ottomans began, the Seljuks, which is who Osman was fighting for under Sultan Alauddin Keykubat, and also the Byzantines, who were closest to Osman's region, and those are the forts and things that Osman had to, or not had to, but he captured. And obviously there was also the Mongols, but that's on for another time. The Mongols overran the Seljuks around uh, the late thir- uh, the late 13th century. The Ottoman Empire at its peak extended to the gates of Vienna, so just before Vienna, Austria, all the way down the left side of Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. So Makkah, Medina, the most holiest sites for Muslims for their holy pilgrimage, Hajj and Umrah. And it also extended, the empire also extended through the tips of northern Africa. So Morocco, Algeria, um, extended to Sudan and UAE. So it was like a little strip of land with most of Egypt, not all of Egypt, because the thing is, the Ottomans, couldn't go further than the Sahara Desert because there was humid conditions, really tough conditions. Their horses cannot survive. They would have to ride camels. Um, things like that. The conditions were just really, really. I don't know about the camels part, but that's just from my own side. But um, to conquer a desert, to conquer the countries fully, you'd have to conquer parts of the Sahara Desert, and that wasn't possible. That wasn't possible for the Ottomans apparently, and yeah. Oh, so the Ottoman Empire at its peak covered parts of three continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. So, as I said before, um, there was another empire around the time before the Ottomans were founded by Osman I, it was the Seljuk Empire. So this was an empire by for the Turkish people, uh, covered most of the regions of Anatolia, Turkey, and they were at war with two other empires, so the Byzantines and the Mongols. So this was throughout different time periods. So from 1064 to 1071, they were at war with the Byzantines, and from 1243 onwards, they were at war with the Mongols, who brought an end to their empire near the end of the late 13th century, which is before the Ottoman Empire was founded. So now on to the interesting part. Osman I was born in 1258, and he was the son of Ertuğrul Ghazi. Now most of you would know Ertuğrul from the series Dililis Ertuğrul, and also Osman from Gurulus Osman, and yeah, the Ertuğrul migrated from Central Asia with his family to Sogut. The people that migrated with him is Jaime Hatun, the mom, Dündar, the youngest brother, and a bunch of his followers of Ertuğrul. But this topic of Ertuğrul is for another video, and today we're talking about Osman himself. So Osman I, as I said before, was born in 1258, and as he grew older, he caused havoc against the Byzantine Empire. So by capturing the forts in and around the area before Constantinople, so before the sea that leads to Constantinople, he took over the northwest region, such as forts like Inegol, Kulucaesar, Karacaesar, and Karacaesar is the fort that his father Ertuğrul once took over himself from the Seljuks. And so he recaptured the forts of Karacaesar with other forts in and around the area of northwest Anatolia. So after Osman captured Karacaesar fort, Osman made this city his base for his military campaigns against the Byzantines, and this was the first manifestation of his sovereignty and authority. Osman had a vivid dream in which a tree emerged from his navel, its shade encompassing the world, symbolizing the vastness of his empire along with his descendants and the reach of their domains. The latest victory of the military campaign was appreciated by the Seljuk Sultan, Sultan Alauddin Keykubat, and in honor of this, Osman was given the title of Hazrat Osman Ghazi Marzuban Ali Jah Osman Shah, which translates to the Honorable Conqueror of the Borderlands Osman Shah. The Seljuk Sultan bestowed upon Osman the governance of the towns he conquered, as well as the towns of Iskişehir and İnönü. Osman Ghazi received several gifts from the Sultan, such as a golden war banner, a war drum, a banner made of horsetail, 100,000 dirhams, a tassel, a gilded sword, as well as a loose saddle. And Osman Ghazi was also exempt of all taxes, allowed to mint his own coins, make his own currency, and in a way, he was already a sultan in a way, just without the title. The town of Karacaesar provided a strong base for the Ottomans to lay sieges and future military campaigns towards other northwestern cities and towns in northwestern Anatolia. And of course, this led to the capture of Bursa further along the line, and Osman Ghazi passed away around 1324 or 1326, it's not really known, and he was of course succeeded by Orhan Ghazi. But that, my friend, is for another video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and peace.